you know what time is it? Do you know what time is it? No, 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 no. Let me tell you what time is it. First of all, shh. Let me tell you what time it is. It's time to ignore the guy on the stage. Pack it up, pack it in, pack it up, pack it in, let's go. Pack it up, pack it in. Let's go. Hey, you gotta move, man. You gotta move. Move, man.
Son, move.
Move. All right. We're gonna go through our routine. Where's my mic? All right, oh, good, man.
Get the handheld. Where did the handheld
Find the mic. Here's what we're gonna do. You're all gonna jump, but there's a challenge. You're gonna ignore the guy on the stage. Am I clear? Am I clear? Am I clear? Play! Jump!
I was like,
big question. Who's the man on the stage?
Don't know, Coach.
Jump! Who's the man on the stage?
Which man?
Jump! Final question. Who's the man on the stage?
I don't see a man on the stage.
Jump! Gentlemen, back at your seat, back at your seat.
Good job, man. That was awesome.
Here's the man on the seat. I like it. All right, gentlemen, back
Let's
at your
go.
seat. Back at your seat. All right, so we're gonna have a fun conversation for a second. Shh. Pull out your journal, aka war map. So let me tell you a tale. Here's how the tale goes. The tale goes, packaging matters. Write that shit down. Packaging matters. Packaging matters. Now, this applies to branding. It applies to the way that you deal with your clients, the way your office looks, the way you package your design work, the way your emails go out, what you wear day to day, how you operate, what you wear on date night, how you package yourself. Do you manscape, or are you a hairy bastard all over, including your ass? You know you want me. Okay, packaging matters. When I say move, you'll yell it back. Move. 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 Okay. Well, I knew this was true in business, but the problem was I didn't understand this with date night. So I had two situations that come up. One, every time I would come to date night, my wife is dressed like a rock star. She looked amazing. And I would look in my closet, and all I had were Warrior t-shirts. So I would pick out like Warrior Week 32, Warrior Week 29. Now I'm gonna go OG, Warrior Week 17. Yeah. I would put on my Lulu pants, my anti-ball crushers, ABC pants, real thing. Don't want to crush those balls. And put on the Vans, and off the date night we would go. One night I'm sitting there with my wife, and she says, "Hey, I got you something." I was like, "Really? What did you give me?" She's like, "Well, I got you a gift card." I was like, "Really? You got me a gift card?" So my wife would come home for years with clothes and attempt to package me differently. How many have experienced this a little bit? Okay, so she would come home, but I rejected all of her efforts. I was like, "There is no packaging by you. I hate that shirt. That's not how I roll. I want to be comfortable. Got to be comfortable." So Vans, Lulu pants, Warrior t-shirt. That's my day-to-day. But that was my everyday too. So I go down to this place called David August. And it's Christmas time, and there was this guy who would show up all the time at my daughter's school, and his kids went to my daughter's school. And he would walk in, and I would walk in my Lulu pants and my Warrior t-shirts. And this guy fucking walked in, and he looked like $1 million every goddamn time I saw him. Now, what do you do when you have a wardrobe of Lulu pants, anti-bulk crushing pants, you've got Vans, and you've got Warrior t-shirts, and a man continues to roll in that looks like $1 million in a different outfit every fucking time? What are some of the initial thoughts you have? Fuck you. Exactly. Exactly. So we would be at the fucking play with the kids, and I would sit down next to my wife, who looked amazing. I'd be wearing the Lulu gear. I'd be wearing a Warrior t-shirt. I'd be feeling cozy. My balls would not be being crushed. And then I would look down the row at the motherfucker. Just like this. And there he was, Mr. David August. Now, I didn't know who David August was at the time, nor did I have any idea how much his company and his mission would change me. We're going to have a conversation about packaging. And interestingly enough, we're going to talk about it through principles, but we're also going to talk about it with how you dress. How you dress. Part of the process of being able to build yourself into a new place is to build yourself into a new package. See, I walked away from suits and I walked away from nice clothes in 2008 because to me they were a symbol of the whore that I had become. And so I took on a different path. But I realized that there were some issues that I had. I didn't have a fuck you to David. What I had was a fuck you to Garrett. And I started to change the way I saw myself. And I had some experiences which we're going to talk about, David and I, and then we're going to bring Chad out here in a minute, who has been the man who's worked directly with me. And I asked David to come down. I know that he's got a busy weekend, and it was like last minute, and I was like, bro, why don't you come all the way down to San Diego, and let's talk about packaging. So first off, talk to me about how you even got into even giving a shit about clothes and how that even deals when it comes to guys. Side note, how many of you know who this man dresses besides me? Shout it out. Okay, so if you want to know the man that changed the entire way that the UFC dresses, this is the guy. Okay, so that being said, let's go back. David, talk to me. How did clothes become your thing?
Well, you know, ever from a very early age, I always liked to dress. I don't know what it was. Get up in the morning, I was pressing my shirts. I was just, you know, I always wanted to look the best. And so I was working in the family business. My dad's in the construction business. We had development. We had some restaurants, some hotels, financial institution. And so I grew up working in the construction business with my brother and went to college. And I got out of college and I came back home and my dad says, so where do you want to work? You want to work in the construction business? You want to work in the development? You want to work in the restaurants, hotels, finance? What do you want to do? And I said, God, Dad, you know what? I think I want to open a clothing store. And he said, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. He said, go talk to my tailor. So I went to lunch with my dad's tailor at one of his restaurants. And I came out of that appointment, at that lunch, working for my dad's tailor. And so I said, Dad, I'm going to work with Gary. And he's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. That backfired. So he ended up investing some money with his tailor, invested a few $100,000, ended up losing that. I'm going to fast forward this real quickly here. He ended up losing that money. I ended up working with him for a few years, learned about, you know, the custom tailoring business. I took multiple trips to Europe. I learned about quality fabric, tie making. I traveled through Biella, Italy, and Torino, and Milan, and all over Europe. Anyway, Huddersfield, England. And I was just learning about kind of being a sponge and, you know, what I always wanted quality. And I think building a personal brand is so important with everybody. And so my personal brand is I don't really care about, I never thought about price. Everybody always thinks, oh, I want the, you know, what can I afford? I want the cheapest thing I can get. That is a big mistake. And so I set out to create a business that you could get value. I think everybody wants value over price. You think you want price, but you don't. You want value. and it doesn't matter what level you're at. So I said, look, I'm going to go after the nicest fabrics, the nicest make, and create that for myself. And I'm you know, it's going to limit the people that I can, my audience, obviously at first. So, you know, the higher the price, the fewer the audience, or the smaller the audience. And so I ended up starting my business, working out of my car, and then I ended up getting a little shop, and then a store, and then I took on, I left the company I was working for, and two guys came with me. It was David, and Rick, and we created a company called David, Ricky and Company. And we were around for we were together for like 18 years, all right? I always tell my people, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been actually doing this for over 30 years, but I tell my employees, don't say that. Say I've been doing over 20 years. 30 years makes me sound too old. And so anyway, we grew this business. We started working with clients like, you know, I think we used to work with, I'm not sure if you ever heard of, on Kiss FM, Rick Dees, old DJ, and Coach Charlie Wright at the time. They were a team on the air, and we were making their clothing for them. And they started this thing. They said, look, let's start doing the Athlete of the Week award. We're going to give out a suit by you guys, our tailors. So they gave the first suit to Pat Riley, and then so we measured him for a suit, and then they gave a suit to Bo Jackson and to Wayne Gretzky, and Chris McCarron is a horse jockey. Then we started making clothing for the NFL. We became the official clothier, so the NFL, we grew very quickly. We ended up, in a few short years, we had 22 clothiers out there seeing people, and we had 65 employees, and we're moving and shaking. But the entire time, my goal was always to provide the nicest quality fabrics, the nicest quality make, and with that, it can get away from you pretty quick. And so I brought all that back, and I said, look, I want to kind of redirect again. I want to go back to quality and relationships. And so we ended up splitting off after about 18 years, and I started a company, David August. My middle name is August. It's a family name. And so I started working with a lot of the guys from the UFC. Lorenzo Fertitta is the owner of the UFC, and Dana White, very good clients of mine. And do you want to hear that whole story how I got these guys, or should I cut it short?
I would like to hear. Would you like to hear how that happened? That'd be interesting. Let's
go.
So
I started making clothing for a guy, for Steve Tisch was a guy, and before that is a guy named Louis D'Esposito, who is the president of Marvel Entertainment. Okay, I made him some clothing. He ended up making a gift for Steve Tisch. For winning the Super Bowl for the Giants. He's the owner of the Giants. So I measured Steve. Steve happened to have his bicep fixed by this guy. His name is Neil Elatrosh, who is the team doctor for the Rams. He's a team doctor for the Dodgers. He's a head guy at Curlin Job Institute. He fixed my shoulder. He fixed Kobe Bryant's shoulder. He fixed Tom Brady's shoulder. Anyway, great guy. And when I met him, he said, oh my God, my tailor just died. If you can make me clothing, I'm going to introduce you to a bunch of people. I made him some clothing. He loved it. He introduced me to Steve Wynn and a host of like 10 other people, Sylvester Stallone, and anyway, the list goes on. And so what ends up happening is it's kind of 6 degrees of separation from Louis D'Esposito. I look back at him, and he's a very good friend of mine still, and we do all the Marvel movies. We do anything you see in Marvel, like Iron Man, Thor, any of the movies that the top actors are dressed, we dress them. We dress all the directors, the producers, the actors in the main series. And so we are a relationship business. It's all about relationships. It's always been that way, and it continues to be that way. We don't ever, we don't have a big reach in the sense of doing like online marketing, traditional online marketing. We do word of mouth advertising. And so I was on the Iron Man movie. I met Mickey Rourke on the movie, which is not even, he's not really a dresser, but he bought some clothing. He ends up introducing me to Dana White. He says, hey, Dana White, I want to make him a suit. Can you make him a suit for me? I said, yeah, no problem. So we called Dana White's office. He didn't return the phone calls. I called him another time, didn't return the phone call. I'm thinking, I don't call people normally. It's just more organic. So one day I ran into Mickey and he said, hey, did you measure Dana White? And I said, no, I didn't. He didn't call back. He's like, motherfucker. So he says, I'll call you right back. So he calls me back. He says, call him now. So I called Dana's office, and they said, yeah, he'll see you. He's going to meet you at the Montage Resort in Laguna Beach. He has a home there. I said, great. Make this appointment, go down to the Montage Resort. I get out of my car. I'm dressed kind of like this. I walk in. Dana's looking at me. I've never met Dana before. shaved head. He's looking at me, and he looks at me and he says, David? And I said, Dana? And he said, yeah. And he goes, thank God. I thought you were going to come in here looking like Mickey Rourke. And so I said, no. I said, just because I dress Mickey Rourke doesn't mean I'm going to look like or dress you like Mickey Rourke. Everybody has their own look, their own brand, and so you got to stay on point. So anyway, he said, look, I told you I had a house here. I lied to you. I don't have a house here. I have a house up the street, but I wanted to meet you here, so I got a room here to get measured. Let's do this. So I made him a suit, and he says, I've really been dressing by one of your competitors, Tom Ford, which is a great brand. A lot of us know Tom Ford. And he said, so I'm looking for, if this is great, I need some clothing. I don't like to wear suits. I never wear ties, but let's try it. So I made him this beautiful suit. He loved it. So I was in his office one day at the UFC headquarters, and he said, you got to meet my partner, Lorenzo. He said, he's in a meeting right now, and he goes, you know what, fuck it. Come here. So we walk down there, and he knocks on the door of this conference room, and the door opens up, and all the guys are in there in this. Frank Fertitta, Lorenzo Fertitta, and a big group of guys were in the room having a meeting. And he's like, Lorenzo, come here. And so Lorenzo gets up, walks out, and he goes, hey, this is the guy I was telling you about that makes the suits. And he says, Mickey Rourke gave me a suit, and I told him I only get stuff made by Tom Ford. And Mickey told me, fuck Tom Ford. You need to dress by this guy. So he says, he made me a suit. That's the suit I've been telling you about. I love it. And Lorenzo said, you know what? Fuck Tom Ford. Come see me. So I went and saw Lorenzo, and he's been a very,
Pause really quickly. You know what we all got to say? We got to back David up on this. We'll need a little fuck Tom Ford on move. Woo. Are you ready? Move. Move. I think we need birdies in the sky.
I love it. Good job, guys.
Move. Move. Hands down. Now here's the real question. How many motherfuckers even know who Tom Ford is? Okay, good. I was just checking. All right, let's roll.
Anyway, so get this along here. So started making clothing for Lorenzo. He calls me one day and said, hey, listen, I need you to come out. I got this new fighter. He says he likes to dress. He's from Dublin. Can you come out to my office, and I want to get him some new clothing. He's going to come out. We're going to do a press tour with him, and I want you to dress him up. Just kind of like do what you did for me, but do it for him. He's going to think he's a dresser, but he's really not. So come on out. I said, okay, great. So I flew out to Vegas. I'm in Lorenzo's office. We're all sitting there shooting the shit, and this kid walks in, Conor McGregor. And he's wearing this suit, and he's got a bow tie on, and it was cute. But it wasn't. You think about Conor McGregor today, and everyone knows he's a dresser, right?
Yeah.
He's a badass. He's an amazing dresser and kicks people's asses. People ask him. We have a saying with him. He's got all these what I call Conorisms, and someone asked him, "So you really like to dress nice, huh?" And he said, "Yeah." He goes, "I love to dress nice." He goes, "I like to whoop ass and look good." And so he says, right now I'm doing one, and on Saturday night I'm going to be doing the other. And so from that point I measured him, and he said, what do I get to do? And Lorenzo says, just pick out whatever you want. So I measured Conor. He starts picking out fabrics. He picks out a couple suits, and he looks over at Lorenzo, and Lorenzo goes, go ahead. Picks out a couple more. Keep going. Ends up, picks out 8 suits and 8 sport coats and tuxedo, and Lorenzo took care of it for him as a gift. And so that was their marketing budget, and he started dressing. He said, oh, my God, I'm so excited about this. From that point forward, Conor and I have been very, very close. Every season, we do a complete wardrobe for him. I'm going to see him tomorrow night. I'm leaving tomorrow night to Dublin. We have a business together now. It's called August McGregor, and it's kind of a get the look. Conor wears suits that are $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a piece. Everybody can't afford a $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000 suit. But he's got a 30 million following on his social media. 30 million people following that guy. And they just want a piece of him. So I said, look, let's create a look that gives back to your fan base. And it'll be kind of a get the look, and we'll make it for, $595 for a suit. Now, the quality is not there. It's not a handmade garment, but it is a beautiful look. And so we're starting that. We're doing a photo shoot on Wednesday in Dublin. It's going to be our very first drop. And so it'll be available for everybody out there.
Two clap. Now, here's the question. Go to your warm map. What are you learning about money and relationships and packaging? Right? For those that are smart and are paying attention, David's laying down something that links directly to Kelly Curtis's presentation yesterday. He's laying down breadcrumbs. So to your warm map, you got 1 minute. Write it down. What are you getting? What are you seeing about the application of this conversation? Just hearing this story, how does this apply to your business? Off you go. Stand up. Name, where you're from?
John Bodine, Minnesota.
Okay, John, what are you getting from this? What are you getting from David's share so far?
What I'm getting out of this is building the relationship is important, but having the sincerity and the being genuine. I mean, the genuineness and the sincerity to follow through, not just with the relationship, but with the product. And take care of their needs. I mean, he's not telling them how to dress. He's saying, tell me how you want to dress, and I'll make you look damn good.
Beautiful. How many of you pick up on David's sincerity, like right out of the gate? Beautiful. 2 clap. Boom. Throw back. All right, let's take one more. We had another hand up over here. All right, name and where you're from.
Mi nombre es Giselle Lorenzo Vargas de Puerto Rico. I live in Alpharetta, Georgia.
All right, that was a fucking sick intro. All right, so that was fucking beautiful.
I've been dying 3 days to do this. Thank you.
I love it. Well, now you did it, and it was fucking epic, so that was great. Okay, so what are you seeing here?
What I'm seeing here is, what I'm getting from what's just occurred is mostly connect with the people.
Hold that mic up just a little bit.
Connect with my clients, with my members, with my athletes. I used to be a recruiter in the Army, and just starting, I was like the recruiter of the year, and I didn't do anything but old school. Go to school, sit down, eat lunch with the kids. They would come up, Hispanics, African Americans, whites, everybody would come up, and I actually had my superior come to me and say, "What the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm going with you for 2 months," and she literally came with me, and she would sit down and say, "All right, Sergeant, what are you gonna do?" It's like, "Nothing, just wait." And literally, what David talked about would occur naturally.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a war map, fact map, or anything. I just did it instinctively.
Well, and the crazy part is instinctively and intuitively as businessmen, we connect with people. At a certain level, there's a desire to exchange with people. Like, you intuitively know this. It's just training to be a fucking dick from society, and also most business trains you that the client is the enemy. So your job is to fucking dominate, which I get. Sounds nice, but the reality is to connect, which is exactly what you did, which is exactly why you won, which is exactly what you're hearing from David. David, share with us. Actually, let's finish up. 2 clap. Boom. 2 clap. Boom. 2 clap. Boom. And we're going to give you one more because that was a fucking great intro. 2 clap. Boom. All right, throw that back. David, talk to me. This is people factor, because you've driven your entire business on a high level. You obviously are not hanging out doing Groupon. Right? Even my gift card was like, I think my gift card was $2,000, and it was really just like like getting a sushi roll before a meal.
Pair of socks.
My wife knew what she was doing. She's like, I'm just going to get him in there, and then we'll see what happens. Talk to me, though, relationships, like inside of this game and building and connect. You're dealing with very wealthy individuals, high-profile athletes, businessmen. You're dealing with a lot of people in a lot of places. You've been dressing Tony Robbins for 30 years. Like, you've been doing a lot of stuff. Talk about that dynamic of relationship and how do you actually sustain it? Because you're in a business where you're involved with tons. Your people have worked with me, very personal, come to the house, texting, calling, driving shit to my events, putting it in my closets in the room before I get to the hotel. But how has that become, like, how did you recognize, or when did you recognize that was so crucial?
Well, I think that everybody in this room has got their own personal brand. I want to keep on saying that. Everybody's got your own personal brand. It's very important that you recognize your brand. And if you don't recognize your brand, put some thought into it. Sit down and take some time and write it down and say, what do I want my brand to look like? What am I doing? What am I putting out there to the world? And when I first started my business, I was always looking for, like, my clients are not, I work with over 75 billionaires, all right? It's a lot of billionaires. I started off with 1, then I got 2, then I got 3. And by the way, it wasn't like I was trying to get billionaires. I'm not collecting billionaires. But what happens is, when you start, the people you hang out with, you start emulating them. And they hang out with others like them. So if you're hanging out with your buddy from high school that's the grocery store stalker at night, you're not going to get much from that. He might be a fun guy to go have a beer with, but if you want to advance in your careers, you need to start hanging out with other people that are advancing in their careers, okay? So it's who you hang out with is very important. My business is a lifestyle business. It's always been a lifestyle business. My friends are my clients, and my clients are my friends. And so it's really important that I don't even have to think about that. It just happens, okay? And so, look, I'm down here. Mm-hmm. All right? Yeah. And so Garrett's become a friend. He's a client. We're doing these things together. We're helping each other. And I think that there's 2 types of people. I always say this to everybody. I'm going to tell you a couple things, but there's 2 types of people that I think of when 2 types of men, okay? It's somebody that cares about how they look in the morning, cares about their appearance. It's super important. A guy that gets up in the morning, it doesn't matter if you wear a suit or if you wear a pair of shorts and flip-flops, okay? You get up in the morning, you look in the mirror, you brush your teeth, you look right, you comb your hair, you put your glasses on if you're wearing glasses, and you look in the mirror and you go, I look pretty good. That guy can make a paper bag look good, okay? Anything, you can throw it on because he's owning it. Then you put a $10,000 suit on a guy that doesn't care because he's got all sorts of money, and he can make it look like he slept in it. Those are the 2 different people. Who do you want to be? I want to be the guy that cares about how I look in the morning. It doesn't mean I have to wear a suit every day because a lot of us don't. It's not, appropriate for our businesses and our careers, whatever. And then there's another thing I'd say to people. 2 guys walk into a room, okay? You're at a restaurant, a bar. 2 guys walk in. One guy's wearing a polo shirt and a pair of chinos. The other guy's wearing a suit. Who's the first guy you look at?
Suit.
It's always the answer. You always look at the guy in the suit, even though the guy in the suit might be working for the guy in the polo shirt, right? But you don't know. You just think that guy's a baller. So you can always, you should never worry about overdressing. You can always take your jacket off. You can take your tie off and dress down to the occasion. But it's very hard to dress up to the occasion if you're not prepared. Okay, and so I think that as you guys are building your brands and continue building your brands, it's very important to have focus on your image, it's your personal image. And I think that's where I come from.
How many of you know right now that in order to pull the outcomes you're in, as a psychology, you're going to have to repackage you? Raise your hand. Right, because if you look at how you've shown up as a leader in your company, with your teams, that has delivered the current result that you have. Period. When I recognized I needed to go to CEO status in my world, there was a lot of shit that changed. And what I mean by that is I had to leave hustler, I had to leave entrepreneur, I had to enter CEO at a very high level. And there's 2 modes. When I'm in hustler, I'm wearing my Warrior Polo, I'm wearing my Lulu pants, and I'm wearing my Vans. And then when I'm in CEO mode, it's a very different feel. And then there's a mix in between. What I never recognized was that most of why I pushed away packaging, the car I drive right now, Lamborghini Aventador, that car, I don't even remember. I'm in the car most of the times because the car is not making me who I am. The car mirrors who I am.
That's right.
It doesn't fucking make me anything. That's why when I walked out of the parking lot one day in front of my office and somebody took fucking bucket of black paint and poured it all down the side of my car, I was like, I think the universe wants me to paint the car black. Literally, my teams were panicked. They were like, oh, fuck, does he see this? Does he know what happened? The car doesn't make me, it mirrors me. There was much of my life where I was reaching to buy shit to make me become something. Now I package myself so that people can see who I am now. I'm not the guy I was, but I don't have to have the car to be that guy. I'm that motherfucker on a fucking bicycle. skate park with Vans on, with my knee pads on, hanging out. And then I roll out to the parking lot, and all the kids that I was skating with that were making me look foolish because I'm a 42-year-old that started skateboarding. And they're like, oh, shit. I was like, yeah. You fucking me up in a skate park, you did great. But I'm going to leave the skate park, I'm going to go here too, and I'm a skater now with you, and I'm this. So your packaging matters, but with clothes, I had this issue. I didn't recognize what the difference was to me in walking out of the house with my wife and being and nearing the king that I had become. It was a very awkward thing for me. Like I felt awkward. I felt uncomfortable. Standing up here on this stage without ever doing this or this or this or this or this or this. This is very uncomfortable in the beginning for a speaker because you're exposed. You're like saying, what? I got nothing to hide from you, what? But the packaging is different. How many of you have followed me through the Wake Up Warrior game for more than like 3 or 4 years? You've seen shit online. Raise your hands. How many of you, show of hands, have watched as not only the brand of Warrior evolved and got cleaner and sexier and more on point, but also saw who I was as a man die and be reborn over and over again? This is not some shit I just am making up. This is the place that I'm at now. David, talk about what you've seen happen to men who were powerful men, but who started packaging themselves the way that they actually felt about themselves. Like their outside mirrored what was going on the inside for them.
All right. When I'm talking to people, this is kind of how the conversation usually starts. First of all, our level that I'm at now is a much different level than I was when I first started this business. I started working on my car, and I just wanted to, make somebody a shirt. I was excited about that. Now we've been in the business for a long time, and so we don't market in that way. We get referrals all the time, and so it's a lot different. But I always ask everybody 4 questions, okay? And I ask them, so how many suits do you have in your closet? And this is going to make sense in a minute here why I'm doing this. How many suits do you have in your closet? And usually guys that have been in business for a long time, they'll say, oh, I got 25 suits in my closet. They think that's going to scare me away, and I'm like, okay, great. Next question is, how many suits? And by the way, these questions, the answer to these questions, you can write them on a napkin and turn them over. They're all about the same. So how many suits do you actually wear of those 25 suits? You guys can answer these yourself too. And you're going to probably say, 4 to 6, all right? And then the next question is, okay, of those 4 to 6 suits that you're wearing, how many do you feel like $1 million in them when you're wearing them? And that answer is always, the last 1 or 2 that I bought. And I say, okay, great. What do those suits look like? Oh, I got a navy solid and I got a gray pinstripe. And I say, okay, great. For our conversation, you've got a navy suit and a gray pinstripe suit. Because everything in your closet should look amazing. You should feel like $1 million and everything in there. Otherwise, it shouldn't be in your closet, okay? And a lot of guys will say to you, I don't wear suits. I say bullshit. I say everybody wears suits. Do you ever get invited to a wedding? Do you ever have to go to a funeral? Do you ever have something come up? I say respect the occasion, okay? We all have to respect the occasion. Doesn't mean because you are in a business that you can wear shorts and flip-flops and a t-shirt. Yeah, that's great for you. That's awesome. I love that too. But when you get invited to a wedding, and some people that aren't really thinking, they're trying to be a little sarcastic, they go, I don't go to those events then. I'm like, okay, so you're a knucklehead. You don't go to the wedding because you don't want to put on a suit? That's not true. So everybody wears suits, okay? But you don't need 25 suits in your closet, okay? You need 4 or 5 great suits that fit you well. And it doesn't matter about the price. They just have to fit you right. You can buy a suit for a few $100 if you get it tailored right and it can fit you. Or you can spend money on someone like me, come in and make them beautifully for you, and it's going to fit great and you're going to love them. But it's a money thing. So everybody wears suits. And so it's about the personal image again. You got to make sure that when you're branding yourselves, that you understand that once you start understanding that clothing does make, you hear the old saying, clothing makes the man? Well, it kind of does. And once you understand that, it'll elevate you because and by the way, you have to wear the clothing. You can't let the clothing wear you. If you're embarrassed about wearing something because it's too bold of a pattern, don't wear that, okay? You've got to own it. He owns it every day. It's amazing. And so you stand up and it makes you feel good and you don't think about it anymore. When you walk into a room, I can walk into a room where I make wild shit for myself sometimes. I make like floral pants and stuff. And normally when I walk into a room with they're like a beach pant, wild, crazy colors. And I'll wear them. I wear them with a t-shirt, a pair of flip-flops, but I get shit from guys all the time. Dude, what's the deal with the pants? Hey, nice pants. You know what I say? Where's my cocktail? I walk right by. By the end of that day, and by the way, the women are always coming up saying, oh, great pants. Oh, I love those pants. Those are greatest pants. Oh, those. By the end of the day, that guy that was making fun of me at first walks up and says, hey, how do I get those pants?
Yeah.
Every single time. So it's about owning what you're doing, understanding it, digesting it, and you're not thinking about it, but it will elevate your game.
So I have gone out with my wife like a ton, and obviously date night once, twice a week. We have gone out in the last like 4 or 5 months. There's probably been about 15 to 20 times where I come out for date night and the opposite occurs, which is my wife is like, oh,
I gotta go change.
Hold on, I'll be back. And I'm sitting there going, that's right. We go to clubs, Omni in Vegas with my wife and I and some friends. My wife goes to the restroom. I'm standing there. I'm wearing a suit at the club. I'm standing there, and people come up and think that I'm who?
The owner.
The owner. Legit, people are approaching me as the owner of the club or at least the manager on right now. Even security that works there was coming up and asking me questions. Sir, are you good? Anything you need us to do right now? I'm like, I need you to clear that whole section. I want all 3 of those fucking... Leave all the alcohol. So it changes you. No matter what it is, whether you guys end up doing some stuff with David August, or whether you just take into yourself right now this idea that you've got to start looking at yourself from a different place and consider that your packaging is your current anchor. If you want to change what you're producing, which we've just worked on, you have to commit to changing the package that you are delivering to the marketplace. Who the fuck are you? Well, we've already uncovered that story is constantly changing. So, to your warm-ups, final takeaways from David shared today. Down to your warm-ups, you got 1 minute, and then we have a special treat for Mr. August. Where's Coach Sam Falsapi? Come up here. Yes.
We're everywhere. So wherever you are, we'll come to you. So we don't have a store in Houston, but Tillman Fertitta, he's a good client. I'm down there seeing Tillman. And I've got, Dallas Keuchel down there. He's Houston, plays for the Astros. Anyway, but we're down there a lot. We have a lot of clients everywhere.
We'll get you guys handled on those kind of details. For now, to your warm-ups. Off we go. We're riding 1 minute. Final takeaway from here. And one of our team, go find Coach Sam. There he is. We have a special gift for Mr. August. Hey, show of hands. How many got one thing inside of this that you can now apply inside of your business? Raise your hand. Okay, this is the coolest part about listening to producers who are also passionate about what they do. There's always some angle to the way they built what they did. There's what the message is, what you're talking about. But then as a CEO, you're also reverse engineering how they did shit. How many of you saw this? Okay, beautiful. So I have another man on the stage. Chad has actually been the man who measured everything. David smiled, and he was the one I was like, fuck that guy. And then David and I got to spend time, and then he introduced me to Chad, and Chad works with him at David Augustin has been there for, I think he's been there 8 years? 18 years? Oh shit, I didn't know it was that long. All right, hold that mic up. So I have a question for you. It's a little bit different. You got to watch me from the very first time. Like the New York Post came to do an article about Warrior Week, and they asked one specific thing. Do you have anything that's not black? So they came, and I had nothing. So they're doing the photos, and the photographer's like, you have to have something that's not black. And I went up to my closet, like, I'm not fucking lying, bro, look. He's like, you got nothing. So my wife goes to the mall gets me some clothes and brings them back, and we put them on and they don't fit, and that put me over the edge. I was like, fucking A, I got nothing here. New York Post wants to take pictures for Warrior Week. I have no fucking clothes. Talk to me though, share, Chad, what you have seen from first day I come in with the gift card.
That took about a year and a half for you to come in.
Yeah, it took a long time.
Yeah.
From that time of coming in with the gift card to me calling you like a month and a half ago going, Chad, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I need a new look for the fall. I've got nothing to wear. Is that some bullshit? It was coming out of my mouth. I was like, who the fuck have I become? And my wife was like, you're so fucking hot right now. All right, so what did you see in this journey? Like watching me go through this as a mentor to me, which you were. David got the game started and you kind of guided me down the path. But watching that, what did you notice the difference between me before it and me now?
Well, first of all, when you came into that first appointment, you were like, how long is this going to be? So when somebody asks that, they're not into it at all. But after we started talking a little bit and got you measured and you were uncomfortable with the measuring part as well, like, why do you got to measure my inseam, bro? This is a little uncomfortable.
I was like, we have a rule, no balls, all right?
So then we started going through the fabrics, and you were still skeptical. But then once you came in for the fitting and saw it on, you're like, oh, this feels pretty damn good. And then we got the adjustments, and you used it for upcoming events, and you're like, I'm all in. I got to get stuff going forward. And then that's when we started doing more colorful stuff for you with the sport coats. And you didn't just like a little bit of color, we went pop on like 4 or 5 different sport coats. We did plums, greens, reds.
How many have seen pictures of these? They're pretty fucking sweet.
And so that kind of covered you, and now we're back to like keeping the staples in there and then sprinkling in, like we went pop, like over the top.
Right.
And now we're getting back to like some normal pieces and some fashion pieces. Like you said, I need some stuff for the fall, so we got some zip out liners and some really fun stuff.
So literally I thought the only guys that cared about clothes before were gay. I'm in the hair industry and I have no problem with gay men at all. But inside in the hair industry, we have a ton of people on our teams that are homosexual, and they are in that place, and they are fucking fashionistas, and they look fucking good all the goddamn time. They make me look like an idiot every time we would go out. Now it's the other way. They're like, whoa, where did you get that? And I was like, David August. But I didn't think that a guy would give a shit about this. That was my story, but that's just because of who I associated with. So we have a special little gift for you two.
Yes.
A little gift from Warrior. A little thank you very much. But we have two kinds of gifts. There's gifts you can give someone, and then there's experiences that we can offer you. So I'm going to hold this so you don't hurt yourself.
So Chad also measured me, but there was problems with the measurement. Let's just put it that way. So we're going to have you two gentlemen go in the middle, and we're going to give you a little gift. Pack it up, pack it in. Pack it up, pack it in.
Where's my camera?
Pack it up, pack it in. Put them between the logs, put them between the logs. Wash the logs. Wash the logs, go in between. Right there. Right there, go back. Up. Hands up, hands up, hands up. Jump!
Come on!
One takeaway. One takeaway.
fucking own what you do.
Jump! Take away.
The king you are.
Jump! Final takeaway.
When you look and feel powerful, you do powerful shit.
Jump! Final takeaway from me. Fuck Tom Ford! Jump! Back on your seat, gentlemen. 2 club. Boom. 2 club. Boom. 2 club. Boom.
The miracle will happen. It might not happen the first time you open it. It might not happen the second time you open it. But I promise you this, at some point this will fucking click and your life will be unrecognizable.
I became a different man. I don't compromise. I don't negotiate. I have this clarity and certainty of where I'm going, and I don't negotiate with anyone.
You can't put a dollar figure on that. And this right here is all the work, all the effort of all the men that have come before me in the palm of your hands. It's an opportunity for you to change your own life and change the lives of those that are around you.
And even in the start, I started to change. There's been a lot of work. I've done a fuck ton of work. I devoured the content once I got it. I studied, I worked, I studied, I worked. I made it my priority because there was nothing I was going to do that was going to help the rest around me, to be, you know, I didn't know how to be a better father. I didn't know how to be a better husband.
My relationship with my wife is on its peak. For that, I'm very grateful. My business has exploded, and that is because this concept of warrior is growing from the inside out.
And I just would say, why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you take that chance? Why wouldn't you find enough value in yourself to make this decision, become part of a movement, a brotherhood? It's the best thing I've ever done.
It's too hard to do it by yourself. And I don't choose to do it by myself anymore, and now I don't have to.
The results came. I changed. I found my way out.
It wouldn't have mattered what that cost would have been, because I knew there was no price I could put on leveling up. There was no price I could put on my family and my kids and my wife and becoming a better version of myself. There's no price tag. There's no price.
And the best news is in the decision, the change begins. If you decide, your life has already changed in that one decision, in that 1 second.